35 years, and it was about 20 years ago that I really stumbled on just how important vocabulary was for second language learners in Japan. I did both my master's and my doctoral degree with Paul Nation, who is really one of the foremost experts on vocabulary, and most of the things he was talking about really spoke to the difficulties I was experiencing in Japan, the difficulties that my learners and teachers were experiencing in Japan. So I've spent pretty much the past 20 years doing a lot of research and then building a lot of tools related to vocabulary acquisition in Japan. So one of the first things to know about English vocabulary is just how much of it there is. The largest dictionary of English is called the Oxford English Dictionary, and as of last count, there's about 600,000 word families in the English language. So it's a quite an enormous number of words. But the good news is that our students don't need to learn all 600,000 of those words. When we do research on the vocabulary size of educated native speakers of English, the average college-educated native speaker of English only knows about 5% of the language, or somewhere between 25 and 30,000 words. So in a sense, what it means is that our language learners can ignore 95% of the language, because most of them, their target is to speak English as good as native speakers, and we only know 25 to 30,000 words. But my concern is not with native speakers. After 35 years in Japan, my concern is with Japanese speakers of English. I run a teacher training program at Meiji Gakuin University. These are some of my students who are training to become English teachers. And what we find is that, 30,000, we said, is what native speakers know after about 20, 25 years of living in a native speaker country and graduating from college. But here in Japan, after studying English for 12 to 14 years, they know much, much fewer than those 30,000 words. 30,000 is what native speakers know. Japanese college students only know somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 words, even after 12 years of study. So that's a huge gap. But 2,300 does sound like a lot. So maybe 3,000 words is enough. Maybe it's not a problem. My experience shows that it is a problem, but you might be thinking, no, 3,000, that's enough. Well, let's take a look at what you can do with 2,000 words of English. So if you know the first 1,000 words of English, you'll be able to read about 75% of the words on a page. Here's a typical college textbook. Here's a topic of forestry. And what you can see is if you have a 1,000 word vocabulary, you'll know 75% of the words on the page. Please try and guess the missing words. So the question is 75% coverage enough to be able to read easily? What you'll probably find is that you can't even get past the first line. The first or second line, you're already stopped. It's very, very difficult. 75% is not enough. If we go to 2,000 words, that's about the size of Japanese college students. Japanese college students know about 2,000 words. And with 2,000 words, you can get about 85% coverage. The yellow words have been added. There were 15 missing words at 1,000 word level. Now there's only 9 missing words, much fewer blanks. But you can see that even at 85%, it's still rather hard to be able to read easily. But if we push it up to about 95%, which is covered by usually about 5,000 high frequency words, you can read almost every word on the page. And when you get to the point of having only maybe 1 blank or 2 blanks, you can read and comprehend and have much less difficulty. So what we've got in vocabulary acquisition is a number of what are called vocabulary thresholds. And what I've just shown you is that below 80%, it's almost impossible to be able to read and comprehend English. But what we can see is there's a turning point at about 90% coverage. When you know 90% of the words in the page, about half of the half of your students will be able to read and guess from context, and half will still be struggling. And then at 95%, that's when almost everybody can read without the help of a dictionary. And 98, 99%, that's the reading for pleasure level. So these levels are actually much higher than what most Japanese teachers would guess. So these are very important numbers. And what I was going to do, I don't know if I have the ability to make breakout rooms. I don't see it as a a function on my screen here. No, I don't have it. Maybe you could, because I'm not host. But what we could do is, how many people do we have here? Do we have about 20? No, 15, 20?
16.
16. Maybe just people can turn on their mics for a second, because I don't think I can make a breakout room. But what I was thinking is just what your idea was about the answer to these questions. Students don't know enough vocabulary, but what words should we be teaching? If we're going to teach vocabulary, what words do you think we should be teaching? And how do you think we can identify these important words? Do you have any thoughts on that? You can share it in chat, or you can share it verbally, and maybe we can figure out how I can get the chat, the breakout room function back, so I can do that later. I have one more breakout room later.
I can do the breakout rooms for you though.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. So if you can, why don't you make 4 breakout rooms? I really would like to control it though, so that I can jump, because I like jumping into the breakout rooms and joining the discussions. But for now, let's just do breakout room for like maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
Four breakout rooms. Talk about these 2 questions, and then come back together as a group. That's probably the best thing to do.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, and could you copy and paste these questions into the chat so that they can see the questions?
Oh, I can't do that though, but I
Okay.
can copy it.
Okay, just so they can see it. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we'll have one more breakout room later.
Okay. Oh, can you give me the questions in advance so that I can copy paste?
Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. It's not popping up right now. Well, let's see how it goes, because we're kind of like, I'm a little bit worried about time. So let me just quickly, let's wait. We have about 16, was it 16 people?
Yes.
Like 500? I don't know.
Sorry, Katie. Talk to you later.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. I was in one really good discussion, and I think all of you have different ideas about how to do this. I'd like to tell you what we do, and in terms of trying to identify what the most important words for our learners are, is what we do at the New General Service List project is that we use the principles of corpus linguistics. We use science, we use computers, and we analyze corpora and try to create very short lists of the most important words for our students that's going to give them the maximum amount of coverage. And by maximum amount of coverage, I mean getting as close to 90% or 95%, those numbers that we were looking at before. So the first and the most important list is called the New General Service List. And the New General, you know, as we said, 90% is the minimum for being able to comprehend texts. And the 2,800 words of the New General Service List gives students more than 92% coverage of written texts, and actually closer to 95% when we're talking about listening texts, you know, like TV or movies or speech. So it's a pretty efficient list. When you compare 2,800 to 30,000, 30,000 is the size of a native speaker. With only 10% of the vocabulary of a native speaker, we're already over that minimum threshold of more than 90%. So how do we do that? Well, this is because of a mathematical principle known as Ziffs Law. And Ziff was a mathematician who lived in 1900 to 1950. And basically this principle states that frequency decreases with rank and that there's an inverse proportion. So what that means is that not all words are created equally. Some words are far more frequent than others. If you know just the most frequent word in the English language, if you know just one word, that if it's the most frequent word, it would cover between 6 to 7% of all the words in a text. Does anybody know what that word is?
The.
Yep, the word the, I'll use it 4 or 5 times in one sentence. The word the is the most frequent word in the English language. So it's there, but we never see it. So, and if you just know the top 10, you know about 25% of the words on the page, and you go to 2,800, which is our list, about 92%, and so on. If you look at it visual, okay, so this actually, we'll come back to this in a moment, but the first 100 words or so are what are ultra high frequency words, and they're often known as sight words, words like the and is and so on, words that are very difficult to define, but are very important and occur everywhere. These are words that our students must know because they're so frequent. And we'll come back to sight vocabulary in a moment. But to give you a visual representation of Ziff's Law, out of a 10 million word corpus, if you took the 2,000 most frequent words, you can see that would cover 83% of the 10 million words. So 8.3 million out of 10 million words are the same 2,000 words occurring over and over again. That's kind of what you're seeing here. Right. So and then if you learn the next 2,000 words, that's the green block, that only gives you another 5% more coverage. And the next 2,000, only 3% more coverage, and then so on, 2%, 1%. If you draw a line connecting the top of the blue block to the top of the green, the yellow, and the pink, and so on, and just extend it outward, that's what's known as Ziff's curve, Ziffian curve. And what you can see is that the first 2,000 words have incredibly more importance than all of the others. They occur much more frequently. So if you're a teacher or you're a student and you're trying to choose which words to teach, you want to teach the blue words first, right? Because the blue words occur everywhere. And that's exactly what the New General Service List is. But why do we need a new one? So the New General Service List implies that there was an old one. And in fact, there is an old one. The old General Service List was published in 1953 by Michael West and actually a number of other famous linguists. There's like Thorndike, Horn, Maki, Palmer. Palmer was famous in Japan. He lived in Japan in 1930s. And all of these researchers worked together around the world, sponsored by the Carnegie Corporation, and they came up with a 2.5 million word corpus that was hand collected because this was pre-computer age. And they came up with a list of about 2,200 words that gave 80% coverage. This was very good, and it was an amazing work because it was pre-computer era. But the problem is that the corpus, number one, was too small, and number two is quite dated. Most of the texts were collected from before the 1900s, and English language changes a lot over time. So it really did need to be updated. And here's some examples of what I mean as to why the list needed to be updated. Here are some words in the old general service list. The old general service list and my list, the new general service list, are supposed to be the most important words for second language learners in their daily lives. But words like plow, mill, spade, cultivator, those are not in our students' daily life today. 100 years ago, 150 years ago, maybe, but not today. Sailor or vessel merchant, there was a lot more sea travel 150 years ago. Today we travel by plane and car and so on. So you can see that the list needed to be updated, and that's exactly what we did. We used the Cambridge English corpus, which is a 2 billion word, very modern corpus. And we were able to take a very large sample of that corpus and to create a word list. Their starting point was to take about half of it, about 1.2 billion words. But we quickly realized what I call the problem of whippy-wygo. That means the problem of what you put in is what you get out. If you put in garbage on the left-hand side, garbage comes out on the right side. So we needed to be much more careful, and 1.2 billion words was way too much. The newspaper subsection was way too large. There was too much financial terms, and the academic subcorpus was not relevant to us. So in the end, we took a much smaller, instead of 2 billion words, we took about 273 million. That's 273 million out of 2 billion. It's sounds like a small number, but that's 100 times larger than the original general service list. And that's important. We did need to get larger than the original general service list because the frequency data at the 1,000 to 2,000 and beyond level was very weak for the old general service list. So a larger corpus helps you to have more accurate rankings of the words. After that, we cleaned it up, and we got some feedback from Paul Nation, and we came up with a very nice word list. But what do you do after the new general service list? The new general service list is what's known as high frequency vocabulary. That's the first 3,000 or so words of the English language, and that's what the NGSL is. Paul Nation recently talks a lot about the importance of mid-frequency vocabulary, that many learners are very weak from the 3,000 to 9,000 word level. And then anything above 9,000 is known as low frequency vocabulary. But 3,000 to 9,000, that's 6,000 words. Now remember, it takes students 12 years to learn just 2,000 words. So how many years would it take to learn another 6,000? Like, about 30 years. So it's not a reasonable goal, really, mid-frequency vocabulary. So what we've done is we started to create what are known as special purpose vocabulary lists. That is shorter lists of words, much shorter than 6,000 words, that provide very high frequency coverage for specific genres. The NAWL is academic English, TSL is TOEIC English, BSL is business English, and FEL is fitness English. These are all very short lists of about 1,000 words that get you up to about 95 to 99% coverage. I'm not going to talk so much about these word lists today. I just want you to know that they're out there. But we've created what's called a modular approach. We believe that NGSL should always be step 1, and step 2 should be a special purpose list when possible, and step 3 should be mid-frequency vocabulary. Why do we believe NGSL has to be step 1? Because these are the words that occur everywhere in students' daily life. If you study only academic English, then you'll be okay in academic settings, but you won't be okay in daily life. So you need to have these general words as well. The only time that we don't use NGSL as step 1, and that's the bottom part in red, is for spoken English and children's English. And we have a spoken English word list, which is only 700 words long. I'm not going to talk about it today, but it's on our website. But today I'm going to talk a bit more about our children's word list. And the children's word list would be instead of the new general service list. So what you see here is sort of an overview of all of our word lists. The new general service list is in yellow. That's the core daily vocabulary. And then the step 2 would be the specific purpose word list, and that would be one of the green lists: academic, TOEIC, business, or fitness. What we're doing today is I want to talk to you a little bit about children's English, because all of my other word lists are focused on the needs of adult learners. And what we found, what research has shown, is that the needs of children, the kind of English they're exposed to, is very different than the kind of English that adults are exposed to, at least at the early stages. So we really felt that we needed to create a word list just for the purpose of children, of young learners, and that list is called the new Dolch List. And we've just published it only about a month ago. So this is one of the first presentations I'm making on this word list. The old general service list was old and needed to be updated. The same is true of the old Dolch List. The old Dolch List was a very good list, but it was published back in 1936. It had a very different focus. The old Dolch List was designed not for non-native speakers, not for EFL students or ESL students. It was actually for native young learners, native speakers of English, young learners, and to help them build sight recognition of words that they already had some knowledge of. But for our new Dolch List, I mean, we realized that many English schools and many publishers are using the old Dolch List, but that's not a very good list for non-native speakers. So we wanted to create something that was really focused more on the needs of non-native young learners, and focusing not just on sight recognition of the words, but also building a basic understanding of those words, because these high frequency words, a lot of non-native speakers don't have good knowledge of them. And so we were focused more on EFL contexts than just native speaker context as well. Our corpus is about 2.5 million words, which is about the size of the original general service list 50 years ago. But it's made up of materials that we think are likely, our students are likely to be exposed to. That includes children's graded readers. That includes all of the new Ministry of Education EFL textbooks, that official textbooks, middle school textbooks as well. Picture books, means like Cat in the Hat and those kind of very popular books. EFL textbooks is very big, and also YouTube children videos. There's children spend a lot of time watching TV and watching YouTube these days, and what we did to try and figure out which videos to add to our corpus is we went to a site called Statista and checked out what were the most popular children-themed YouTube channels, and picked the top English channels and then added that to our corpus as well. What we found is that once we did the analysis of our corpus, that the only 128 function words, the sight words, gave about 50% coverage of the materials that students were being exposed to. And you can see, here's a couple of examples of what I mean by sight words: the, be, and, of, do, have, with, can, at. These are ultra high frequency words, but very difficult to make a simple definition for, very difficult to make a picture card to teach the meaning of, but very important for them. But those 128 sight words gives about 50% coverage. And what you can see here, you probably, I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's a little bit part of the green box for the Kids English NDL that doesn't overlap with the yellow box. And that's because about 700 of the 875 words the NDL are actually NGSL words. So that means most of the kids' words are also useful for adult learners as well. But there's about 175 or so that are outside the NGSL that are really more kids' words. These are words that occur very highly frequently in children's learning materials, children's YouTube channels, children's books, and so on. And let's see, I was going to do a breakout room, but we only have 15 minutes left. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move forward and show you. These are some of the kids' words that are not in the new general service list, but very frequent in EFL learning materials. And I'd like you just take a quick scan through those, and you know, what your reaction, what kind of words are they? Would you agree that they are children's words, or are they good words or not good words? What would you say about these?
Say, yep. Yep, I agree. Yep.
Yep.
Whoa,
Dinosaur, totally.
Go ahead.
There. Dinosaur.
Yeah, dinosaur. I mean, dinosaur, when I was, 5 years old, that was the most important word in my life, but, not anymore, except when I watched Jurassic Park. But what about words like vroom or swish? I mean, vroom is not, it doesn't seem like it's really an English word, and yet it comes up so often in children's textbooks and children's YouTube channels. And if you look in the dictionary, it's there as the sound that a car makes, right? So this is there are many words that kids just see over and over again. And as they become adults, they see less and less, but in that early stage, they really need to understand these words, because they come up everywhere. So the old Dolce list is 315 words in total, 220 words plus 95 nouns. And if you took the whole list together, that would give about 70% coverage of the children's corpus of 2.5 million words. But our new Dolce word list gives about 8% more, about 78%. So that 8% improvement is good, and that's always what we're after. The new General Services Project, we're always trying to get the highest coverage with the least possible words. But the problem is that stopping at 315 words is not enough, because that doesn't get students to that 90% threshold, that minimum where they can read on their own without help. So what we did is we extended the new Dolch list to 875 words, because that is the point where students will know 90% of the words on the page, and actually even more than 90% when they're looking at listening materials like YouTube videos and TV shows and things like that. So right now the NDL is that long. Whoops. Okay, so let me hold on a second. This is not the slide I thought it would be. So that's a quick introduction to the NDL. What I want to do with the remaining time is to talk a little bit about the new General Service List website that we have. Our new General Service List project, as I said, has 7 word lists, including the new Dolch list. And we've created a website. I created this website about 7 years ago. And what I try to do here is to put up as many free resources as possible, so that the lists are useful to students and teachers and researchers. So I should mention, if I haven't already, all of the word lists are open source and free. All of our tools are open source and free. So everything that you see on this webpage will be something that you can download and use right away. The free resources you'll find on our webpage include all of the word lists, definitions we've written in easy English and sometimes easy Japanese for all of the word lists, research articles, and many other things. So just to take you through those first 3, you can see research articles on all of our word lists, not only by myself, but also by many other researchers who are, these word lists are known around the world now. So there's a maybe 30, 40, maybe 50 articles using these word lists now, and you can find them on the website. We've for the new Dolch List, this is typical of all of our word lists. What you'll see if you sorry, hold on a second. If we go back, on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see like a screenshot of the new General Service List website. On the very left-hand side, you can't see it clearly, but there's a kind of a bunch of things that you can click on. And if you click on the one that says new Dolch List, you'll come to a page that kind of introduces all of the tools that we have up right now. And there's about 10. 5 of them are live as of this morning. The other 5 we're working on and will be added soon. But these include the downloadable list it's like alphabetized and by head word. You can see right there. We've also all of our word lists are lemmatized. That's the way what we use as the measurement of what it means to be a word. So you can see the various forms of the word if you're doing research. There's also lemmatized for research and lemmatized for teaching. You can download those. We've also provided basic statistical data from our corpus research on the word. So you can see the rank, you can see our SFI index, which is a measurement of its importance, and then the frequency per million. We've also created simple definitions. And thanks to the hard work of Scott Crow, who is in the room here, we also have a part of speech for every one of these words, which is also very important for figuring out how to teach them. And we've just, as of last night, added IPA pronunciation files for all of the words as well. So these are already live and downloadable as of today, and we will be adding a bunch of other resources, which I'll show you in a minute, but include things like Quizlet and so on. So the free online teaching resources include learning applications. They include testing and placement tools, research tools, and text analysis tools. So what I want to show you actually very quickly, I'm not sure if I can do a live demo, but with our latest resource, we just put this up about 2 months ago. This is an interactive glossary, We have it up for the NGSL right now, and we're working on a way to put it up for the NDL as well. But this provides in-context video concordancing for every word in the new General Service List. So let me, we still have about 8 minutes left, so I think I can probably do this. Let me stop the share for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a new browser, go to new General Service List. And okay, so let me do a share screen. And we're going to go back to, let's see, do I have new General Service List? Okay. So can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the new General Service List. You can see on the left-hand side all of the pull-down links. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to NGSL tools right now. That's in the top left. And among them, there's all kinds of free flashcard programs and free smartphone programs and a whole bunch of stuff. But the very bottom one is called NGSL Glossary. And now what you can see here is a screenshot of what the glossary looks like, but I'm going to go to the actual glossary, which is an HTML link. And now we're on the NGSL glossary, and you have all of the words in the NGSL here. And again, you get the part of speech and frequency per million, pronunciation file, and definition. But let's pick a word from the NGSL, and I'll show you what the video concordancing activity looks like. So let's say, for example, the word additional, an adjective. Okay, and what we're going to do, let me just play this. Let's see. Whoops.
Additional evidence of this, especially its expansion of Medicaid in those states that are able to clear out ISIL from additional territory inside of Syria as well.
I think we're in about 22 additional regions beyond Kansas City.
Crivelli has created an additional space in his picture.
For us to give an additional 2 to 3 months.
Okay, so what you can see here, it says how to pronounce additional in English, and we're at 5 out of 47,910. Basically what that means is that there are 49,000 examples of the word additional being used in authentic contexts. I thought this was a fantastic resource. It's similar to something I developed for English Central many years ago, but this one is open source and free, and I thought we should put all of our word lists up on this too. So that's our latest resource, but there's many. There's probably a dozen free resources that we have on the website. And let me just go back to share screen and go back to portion, and maybe I can just show you a few more quick slides. We also have all of our word lists up on the free Quizlet flashcard program. So I would suggest you access these from my website, because our word lists are so well known now that there's literally hundreds of Quizlet stacks, and not all of them are that good, because people have different program needs. But we have very basic Quizlet stacks in frequency bands of 500, 100, and 50, so a variety of needs, and you can access them from our website. We also have the free Memorize flashcard program, and our word lists are up on that website as well. We often use Kahoot to teach our word list, and you can find links for that from our website. I think I'm not going to have time to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of short-term versus long-term memory, but I have made a series of free iPhone and Android apps for learning the new General Service List. This one is called New General Service List Builder. There's 16 of those for the new General Service List and the old General Service List, the new academic word list and the old academic word list. Those can be searched for either via my website or directly in the store. Rob Waring and I have created a new app called Word Learner, which has all of my word lists, as well as a 90,000 word learner dictionary and a learner management system and vocabulary tests. That can also be downloaded for Android and Apple as well. The new General Service List also has a test, which has a very high reliability and validity. It's made by Phil Bennett and Tim Stokel. They've published many articles on it. The test is for the new General Service List and also the new academic word list. I can see that we're basically out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here now with the caveat that actually my website contains probably twice as many free resources as I've mentioned so far. So the new Dolch List is there to help for the needs of young learners and for teachers who are working with them. And but there are 7 different word lists and probably 15 different free resources. So I hope that some of this can be useful to you. And I'll stop right now and maybe leave at least a few minutes for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Browne. Well, we ran out of time, but I can extend for a few minutes. So if you have any questions, you can write it down on chat, or of course you can turn on your microphone.
Yes, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much for that very, very relevant presentation. Do we distinguish between receptive and productive vocabulary, or we presume that all these vocabulary words should be produced by the students?
Oh, it's a good question. It's a very good question. I think Paul Nation talks about 21 different aspects of word knowledge, and those 21 different aspects range from receptive to productive. So my word lists are not, I'm not talking about teaching all 21 aspects of word knowledge. Basically, what I'm doing is giving you the word list as a starting point. And some of the tools, including Quizlet, will cover several aspects of word knowledge, including receptive and productive, but not all 21. So this is the responsibility of the teacher over time. But the starting point, and I really can't emphasize this enough, has to be building receptive knowledge of all high frequency words as quickly as possible. So that means all 2,800 words of the new general service list if you're teaching adults, or all 875 Dolce words for young learners, because those high frequency words are everywhere. And if you have gaps, if you have significant gaps in your knowledge of those high frequency words, even in receptive ability, you just can't move to the next step. So the starting point has to be receptive, but over time, as students get better, then you have to go and slowly develop into productive ability as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I can allow about another question. Does anyone have any other questions?
Well, if you have time, Scott Crow and I will be giving another presentation at the end of the day, and that's related to some some software for teaching English to young learners, very interactive, kind of game-based software, but for both, learning via apps and also learning via live lessons. So, if you have time, please come to that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
That was
you.
really great.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Good night.
Fantastic.
And
Thank
Charlie,
everybody
I'll
for
be
coming.
mentioning your list as well in that presentation, because if you look at what happens now in kindergarten and young teachers lessons, there's a lot of nouns being taught, objects being taught, but the question is, how do you get kindergarten kids to use words like with and for
Yes,
and
yes.
of and those? So the presentation is not on that, but I will address it a little bit, because this list is, I think it's going to be a game changer. So thank you very much for making it.
No, absolutely. Thanks a lot. And maybe a good thing to do would be to just provide a direct link in chat or something like that to the word list, the site where they can download and find out about the list.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks very much, everybody, for coming so early in the morning, and I hope you all have a great day at the conference. I'm sure I'll see you in some of the other rooms.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you very
that
much.
was
Thank
it,
you.
Professor
Thank
Brown.
you, Dr. Brown.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.